So welcome everyone to our special webinar, Microsoft Edu Fun Tech Tools. I'm Candace McIntyre with the Resource Materials and Technology Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I'm joined today by Randi Mitchell from the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind. Randi is the coordinator of professional development at FSDB and an adjunct professor at the University of North Florida and the Department of Exceptional Deaf and Interpreter Education. She is also a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert and is going to share how to use different fun tech tools today, specifically when working with students who are DHH. Now that you know a little bit more about Randi, I'm going to turn the session over to her. Randi?
Hi, everyone. So this might be your third time seeing me, or it could be your first time or your second time. But today I'm so excited to share with you some of my favorite ed tech tools that are also considered partner apps with Microsoft Edu. So I'm going to go over just 3 today. I'm going to make sure, I know in the past too I've been talking super fast, but that's because we're on such a time constraint and there's so much to talk about with each one of these. So we're going to get through it. And maybe not as fast as fashion, but in a good steady pace for you all. So today I'm going to talk about Wakelet, Book Creator, and Kahoot. So some of you guys might already know about all 3 of these, but I'm going to kind of just give you a very basic overview, as we can see here in the agenda. I'm going to tell you what it is, give you a very brief, because I only have less than 45 minutes. I know at 3:45 me cut off for questions. So I got to get through what is it, a brief, very brief overview. And what I'm going to really heavily focus on is how to use it with your DHH students. What's awesome about all 3 of these companies is they have so many resources on how to get started, including like a PDF document, like step-by-step. It also provides different video webinars of explaining how to get going. And because of the situation we're all in with remote learning, all 3 of these organizations are providing live PD and webinars all the time showing how to use these sites. I do have to warn, some of their live trainings might not have CART or live captioning involved. You might have to wait until after the event to view the video with captions. So just keep that in mind as you're looking for different trainings. Okay, so first I'm going to talk to you about Wakelet. You can save, organize, and share content. Wakelet has become one of my new favorite things because calling all list creators, organizers, and curators, this is for you. So Wakelet is a curation tool that allows you to save, organize, and share content. So think of it as a more organized Pinterest page. So for those of you that know me very well, you know that I like to be organized. I like my binders. I like my tabs. Well, this is perfectly aligns with that type of organizational skill. It helps you organize and find what's relevant, and it helps you can link websites, pictures, text, and video in an organized list, in like a mood board, or almost in a grid. And you can gather all those resources and put them in one spot. Okay, so some important terms to know when using Wakelet. There's something called a collection. So a collection is your whole, I guess you can say your list or your mood board, or that all those images that you want to come together. So that'll be your collection. You'll look for buttons that say create a new collection or edit a collection. As you can see, this is a little snippet of my screen. I don't have enough time to go through tutorials today, so I did some screenshots. But this is one of my Wakelets that I made that I use with trainings here on campus. And if some of my university students are here, we've also used Wakelet as a collaborative tool. There's a term called contributors, and that's something to keep in mind when you're wanting to share with your students, but you're wanting them to contribute to your Wakelet. Or for my individuals who are co-teachers, you'll add them as a contributor to that collection. By adding them as a contributor, they're able to edit and add information and resources to that collection. There's also the term share that you need to know. Share lets you share your Wakelet. It basically makes it a view only, but the individual can go through and read the text. They can click on the content, watch the YouTube video, go through, maybe you added a Flipgrid in there. So the sharing out might be something you do for your students to use the resource as like a view only tool. So The important things to know is collection is like where you're going to keep that information for that specific content. And then of course you need to know new and edit for if you need to change something or you want to create something new. Contributors lets that person become an editor as well. And sharing is a view only. And then the last thing is called Surf School. So Wakelet is all about riding the wave. They basically want you to, it's kind of like Flipgrid yesterday has Flipgrid fever. Like once you get into it, it's Flipgrid fever. Well, their whole thing is riding the wave and getting excited about Wakelet. So they have what's called a Surf School. Their Surf School is where you'll find all the guidebooks, all the resources. You'll even find other collections that educators have made. There's remote learning guides. There's a ton of content right there in the Surf School. So I definitely recommend checking that out to see if there's anything that you need, since I can't go over a tutorial right now. Okay, so now you're kind of getting a glimpse into my whole collection in a bigger view. You can see where I can add new. You can see things I bookmark. I have no followers right now, but if I did, so I used one for training. It was a whole collection of different PD that was like follow-up for that training. So if someone goes and clicks into it, it kind of shows them everything that I have. Now we're moving to where you can add content. It looks like I forgot to put one slide in, which was semi-important, but it is okay because I'll kind of show it to you later. So let's say I clicked on that collection with PD, follow-up PD for the teachers here at FSDB. I can easily add content when I'm in the edit mode. All you have to do is hit that green plus button that has the arrow next to it. Hit that green plus button, and what you see on the right-hand side of the screen is all these different options that you can add into your collection. So you can post a website, you can have text, you can put a tweet in there. So if you're trying to save all these tweets, you can put all the tweets into a collection. You can attach stuff from your Google Drive, your OneDrive with Microsoft. You can even put a Flipgrid video in there. So there's a lot of different things. I just kind of did a screenshot of what you're able to add into your Wakelet. So there's endless options of what your Wakelet collection could look like. Okay, so how you could use it with your DHH students. You could link to the YouTube videos that have all the ASL stories. A lot of different deaf schools and deaf educators are signing stories and other content that can be shared out. So that would be perfect if you want to have one whole collection that's like ASL stories, and you can just link all the links there into that Wakelet collection, sorry. You can also link and attach the sequence on their schedule. If you have a student that needs that list, maybe it's on their IEP to always have a list so they can kind of check off what to do. Well, right now we're not in a way that we can provide that student that list when they come into class. So what you could do is put the order of their assignments in their Wakelet, and then they can just go through it independently, going through the first thing, the second thing, and go in the list. You can add links of your video directions. So maybe it's a video of you signing what to do, and then the assignment underneath, following by the next thing. So you can use that just to help organize one whole assignment. You can also list resources to help them complete their work. So maybe you're doing a whole project on zoo animals right now. In that, you can tag like San Diego Zoo, where they can actually like watch animals right now and like being fed and all that. And then you can link some other kid-friendly websites that they could do their research on for their zoo animal. So it's a perfect place to just like curate what you want, gather those lists, or maybe make a mood board of information, or kind of put it in like a grid. Like I kind of mentioned, you can have a step-by-step for one assignment. You could post all the information, whether it's a video, reading an article, responding in a Flipgrid, so they can almost do one whole assignment in their Wakelet collection, or you can do it where it's like their scheduled list for the day. You can also develop playlists. They really encourage that. Like I said before, you could do ASL stories, but it could be a playlist of any information that you want your students to watch. It could be you instructing them by having filmed videos, or it could be other content that you're pulling off the internet that's safe for them to watch, and content that you want them to watch to learn. You can change the view of your collection. So now on the right-hand side, you're kind of seeing what my Wakelet looked like. You see my description to the teachers, and then at the bottom, I had mine in grid view because I just thought it was prettier for what I was using it for. And that way the teachers could kind of like scroll through and they see all these like little boxes. I could change it when you look on the left-hand side. There is a way to change from grid view to compact view, media view, or mood board. So you have different options that you can use to kind of make your Wakelet what you want it to be. So that's important, and just kind of know how do you want the viewer to view it. Sometimes the compact view is nice because it does look more like a list. Same with that media view, you can kind of list it down. Okay, making sure I'm right on track. All right, so like I mentioned before, there's contributors and shared. This is super important. So when you're looking at your collection, you can hit contributors, and that lets someone to add and edit to that collection. And then there's also share, which means it's basically going to be a view only. What's nice about Wakelet is they've partnered with other tech tools. So as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, I screenshotted what it would look like when you hit that share button. I apologize, it's a little bit small, but I just wanted to show like all the different things that you can embed your Wakelet in. My favorite thing about Wakelet is you can share that link into Teams, and it actually makes that whole Wakelet appear. They don't have to go into another website or another document. The Wakelet is like living in Teams, and it's there, and they can scroll through it when it's in your team. It also will work like that in your OneNote, which is really awesome. It will just kind of live there, and they can scroll through it when you're using a OneNote book by just pasting that link in. You don't have to embed it into OneNote. You just copy and paste that link in. And then you can also use it with Google Classroom. Some people share it on Twitter to share different resources or information, or you can just share the QR code. So it's kind of just user preference. As you can kind of see, there is a little immersive reader symbol right here in the middle of the screen, the book with the audio. As I showed yesterday in Flipgrid, immersive reader is a great tool to help struggling readers, to help readers that need read aloud. Also, if they need contrasting colors, focus line, the viewer can just click on that book with the speaker, and it'll open up the window to immersive reader, and it will help them read through your whole collection using immersive reader. So definitely highlight that to your students when you're using this tool. Okay, so here are some resources. Wakelet Surf School, definite go-to. I highly recommend going there. They have so much information to get you started. I also went ahead and linked the educator guide. It's a basically a PDF you can download, and you can go through, and it walks you through everything. Oh, and by the way, Wakelet is free for educators, so all you have to do is sign up. And then I made a Pineapple PD tech tidbit explaining the Wakelet in ESL with voiceover and caption. So you can kind of also go there if you just want this brief little overview again. And then of course, I added the handles and the hashtag. So you can look for them at Wakelet or hashtag Wakelet Wave. I don't know why there's a space there. I wonder if it auto-corrected for me, but it is one word. Okay, now I'm moving on to Book Creator. So Book Creator was one of my favorite apps that I used when I was in the classroom. It's a great way to create books with videos, pictures, and text on an iPad or in your browser. So you don't have to have it on the iPad app. I do have to mention that on the iPad, there is a free version and then there's a paid version. You can use either one. I had the free version for a while, and basically when I created a book, it would say you can't create any more books. So I would just delete that one, and I was able to add another book after I exported it. So there's a way to kind of play around the fee, but I think the app on the iPad is only like $4 or something, but you can also use it on your browser. And some of these companies are also giving like bigger members or the top level membership for their apps right now because of everything going on with remote learning. So definitely look in to see if you kind of had the option to get a more advanced or top level account. Okay, so in Book Creator, you can easily create books digitally by adding video, text, music, ink, which means like you can kind of draw or like write in it, or just like suddenly adding a picture. You can collaborate on developing a book by sharing your book. This promotes literacy and creativity. Educators can create books to share out with your students. Like if you can't find a book that is teaching that social skill that you want or that specific content, well, this is perfect because now you can create your own book that's perfect for what you're trying to teach. And you can also export the book to share out digitally or printed. So you can print it out from the computer, have like an actual bound book, or you can just have it living on your computer like as a PDF or as like a digital kind of like move across, like almost like a video. Okay, so when you're in Book Creator, you'll create your account. These screenshots are from using Safari. So you can either use Safari, the Edge browser, or Google Chrome, and it's like an add-in for Google Chrome. You just like add it into your browser. And then for Safari and Edge, you just type and go, set up your account. And then, so this is what it looks like when you create a new book. You have all these choices. You can also create comic books if you want. I usually did like the portrait or landscape to create books. And what was cool is it's such a user-friendly, easy to use application that my co-teacher and I use this for a few of our projects. And then I also let the students just use it and make books on their own. So I taught kindergarten. So we're having 5-year-olds on the app creating their own books, which was really cool. So basically all you do is you hit the plus sign like every other application that I've showed you, and that plus sign will drop down all your options. You can import media, you can open up the camera and take the picture right there and film. The pin lets you kind of write, there's text, and when you click on those options, more options pop up. So you can change the color of the pin, the text, the font. Due to time, I didn't want to show all that because I knew that Book Creator has a lot of apps, sorry, not apps, have a lot of guidebooks and PDFs that will help you through all this. So I just kind of wanted to show you that there are those options there. You can also add shapes. So everything you need to create your own book is right there in that plus sign. And then of course you can hit the play button, and then you can kind of like see what your book looks like before publishing it or exporting it digitally. So let's say I created my book, I'm all done. At the end, this is how you can share your book. You can download it, you can print it, you can make it an ebook. And then there's also the option to have the book read to you. So, and then all the settings have the book read aloud. So the book can be read aloud to students. Okay, ways to use Book Creator for your DHH students. What you can do is you can sign videos. So sign a video in ASL, put it into the book on that page, and then you can type text, and then you're creating a bilingual book. So both ASL and English are present in their book. You can make a class book with students introducing themselves with their name signs, or even like the staff members that are around, because it is hard to keep up with everyone's name signs, and sometimes students have a hard time learning each other's. So this is one way that you can kind of help each other learn each other's name signs. They can report on a topic. It could be, maybe it's about their zoo animals or community helper or other content that they're learning about and studying. They can create a whole book about that information. Maybe they want to create a story of their own. So they can have the ASL there, they can have the text there, they can draw pictures. So you're really empowering your students to kind of create a book of like whatever they imagine are their dreams. They can practice skills by putting it into a book format. I was working with my students with prepositional phrases, and for some reason they were learning it, but they were still struggling to put it in writing. So we used the Book Creator app to create our own books showing where the stuffed animal moved about the room. And they had key phrases that they were required to capture in the book. And so they went ahead and made their whole book on prepositional phrases. So it was a really cool experience. And then another example is a how-to book. Of course, with all these examples, you can do the signed video and then have the written text. And then that way you're really encouraging bilingual strategies with your students, because then they're having the ASL and then they're putting the printed text there. They can also collaborate with one another, creating a book. So really the opportunities are endless, but what's important is you can add those videos there. So if they're not comfortable with their English print yet, or they're just not ready to express themselves fully and they're more of a share person, either verbally or in sign, that's perfect for the video. And also, if they want to just do voice only, you can just record the voice on the pages and then add the printed text. So you have the option of video or adding in that like music or audio that goes into the book for the each individual. Okay, so here's an example of my preposition book, one of the books that the students made. I'm not sure what's gonna happen when I click it. Okay, let me make sure that you guys see it when I'm screen sharing. Okay, so here's the book I made. I just had it uploaded in Google Drive for now. But basically, as you can see, I did not make the book because it is not aligned. I like my stuff perfectly formatted, and this is not, because my students actually made the book themselves. So yes, I had to spell elephant for them. I mean, I didn't learn how to spell elephant until like way later at elementary school, so I would not expect a kindergartner to spell that. But they knew that they had to use words like under and over and on and tell a story about where their elephant went. So as you can see, the elephant was under the chair. The elephant was behind the ladybug. The elephant is in the chair pocket. I mean, you can definitely tell that I didn't take these photos because it's like blurry. They're all formatted to the side, but that's how easy to use this application is, because all they did was use their iPad, take some pictures, and upload them right into the application. And then they did the pinch finger to format how big they wanted. They typed text. I do have to warn, before we did this lesson, I modeled how to create a book in Book Creator and showed them all the things, and we made a class book together. So then that way they kind of knew what they were doing before I just let them go on their own to create a book. But it ended up being so cute, and we did print these and we sent them home. So then that way they could keep the book for right now, where we're not really printing and sending things to students. I could just email it to their parents, and then their parents have a copy. So it's really cool what you can do. So I have another example. Go back into my PowerPoint. Okay, so next I have the community helpers. I did see that Lauren Rivera is in here. This is something that we worked on together with our kindergartners. We did export it out as a digital book, and we put in the normal documents that we do. As you can see, the student is gonna start, the video just starts, he's signing, "Hi, my name is Elijah. I'm an astronaut, and my job is to study the stars in space." And he did a drawing picture. We have a picture of them in Kidstown, and then they have their video explain what they are, and then we have the English text. So we had a lot going on in these books, but it definitely is special to look back at. In the past, we just would do a printed book and then have them do the presentations live. But as we know, when we're working with students, you can practice all day long on what they're going to say. But when it's time to present in front of their parents and multiple people in the staff at your school, they're not going to say what you practice most likely. And so this was a safe way to ensure that we got one video of them at least doing it correctly. And then we were able to like send it out to their parents and other individuals. So it's a sweet project. It's something that you can just do with your students. So I hope both of those examples gave you an idea of what you can do with your students during this time. Oops, oh no, I can't go back. Oh, yes, I can. All right, book creator resources and tips. So I went ahead and linked some important things that you guys might be interested in. You can create your first book, and that will give you like a step-by-step of how to create your book. So like I said, I'm trying to be cautious of time for questions. So this is where you can go to kind of figure it out. but I promise you a lot of it is self-explanatory. The hardest part is setting up your account. Once you set up your account, you'll go in, you create new book, and there's very limited things that you can click on. Once you click on it, all your options are there. So I promise you, it's very user-friendly. I also included the book creator features, which kind of breaks down how to use specific features within the app, and then also book creator resources. So definitely check that out. Follow them on Twitter. I know they've been doing webinars all week, so I would definitely look into theirs because they're going to go more in depth and kind of show you what they're doing more than I am right now. But the most important thing about this tool is that you can have video and audio, and you're going to have English down in it. One thing I do want to add is if you're using YouTube, YouTube does have the option to edit videos in YouTube. So if you go to the Video Studio Editor, you're able to add voiceover, you're able to add captions, it'll kind of pop down the bar. So my iMovie users or my Final Cut Pro users, it looks pretty much the same in YouTube. And since you're not making anything too complicated, you can go ahead and do all your video editing there too and just like kind of upload it. So additional tips, you must use Chrome, Edge, or Safari browser. I tried to open up in Firefox and it redirects me the whole time. There's free accounts and there's accounts you can purchase. Like I said, you might want to see if they're having like free top level accounts right now due to Corona outbreak. A lot of the other tech companies are allowing free access to their services during this time or for like a specific time period. But with the free account, I was still able to make books. I just couldn't keep going back and editing that book. Once I finished one in the free account, I had to export it and then delete it and then start a new book. So this might be common knowledge, but I'm going to say it just in case. If you're doing a book with videos, you cannot print the book and expect the videos to work. You guys might be shocked that I'm saying that, but I've presented on Book Creator before and people weren't sure why their video wasn't working when they printed it. We all have our own, what do you want to call it, like brain farts or moments where you're just like not thinking through the situation. But I just want to let everyone know you have to export the book as like an ebook or digital for it to play like I showed you with that community helper book. All right, we're doing Kahoot now. I'm doing really good on time, I think. So that's a positive. Okay, so Kahoot, it's where you can create, play, and share learning games. I really regret that I did not put the fun little like music in here because the Kahoot music is one of those earworms that once it's in your head, it's like always in your head and it kind of like makes you want to like do a little dance. So if you're using Kahoot with your sound on, that's your warning that that song is basically equivalent to Baby Shark. Okay, so why would you use Kahoot? You can host games live over video or in person. So it's perfect right now, like when you can't have your students all together to test them, or if you're trying to do a one-on-one review game, now you can actually do them, like you can do them live over video or in person, or you can actually just send them for independent learning. So I should have added that on the slide, I apologize. But you can also just send it to them and they can independently go through the game and take the quiz. Oh, that's the next bullet, my bad. Student-paced games for assessment or review, so you can just send them that game, they can go through it, you get the results, and you know what you need to review with them or what they're struggling on. It also gives you the grade for the assessment. A nice feature is the pre-designed templates as your base. You can either use their template or you can take the template and take out all the content and put your own content in there. You can also insert a YouTube video for your question. So you can have your question written out and then you can have a video of you signing or saying the question. And then it's definitely fun and competitive. I've seen our teachers use it here for review games before test at the end of units. I've seen them use it before taking FSA. They did a whole like prep and they had the whole grade level in one room competing on a Kahoot. So there's tons of ways you can do it, ways you can use it and do it. I do have to emphasize that it can get competitive because the quicker that you answer, the more points you get. So even if you're right, but if you were the first one in right, you're gonna get more points than the second, third people that were right and answered. So I do have to warn for my competitive people, it can be a little stressful, especially if the time limit's low. Okay. So ways to use Kahoot for DHH students. So when I was like looking through everything, I did find an article that it looks like Rocky Mountain Deaf School is actually using Kahoot with their students, and they gave a beautiful blog article on how they're using it to represent ASL in their Kahoot game. So basically what they did is they put a YouTube video in for the question. So you have the option to add that link. And then, like I mentioned with Book Creator, you can, in YouTube, edit a video, add a voiceover, add those captions, and then throw it into your Kahoot. So you basically just grab that link and then you put it into your Kahoot, and the student can watch that. They're gonna have the spoken English, the captions, and the signed. So it's great that they have that aspect to it, so then it's accessible for all. In the questions, it does not have the ability to add video, but what Rocky Mountain Deaf School did is they took pictures of the kids signing it, and they had pictures of the sign for the word that was represented in the answer. So, oh, sorry, that bullet should be added to the answer choices, not question choices. I apologize. So images can be added to answer choices with the text. So then that way you can add that sign language picture there, because you can't add video for the answers. So that's kind of how you could use it with your DHH students. Of course, you could use it in every other way that everyone else is using it, by putting up a math problem or having like, who's the main character of the story, and then they have to answer. So it's a great way to review any type of content in a fun, competitive way that gives you insight on if the students are understanding and making progress towards that skill and content. Okay, here's a little screen grab of what it looks like when you're creating your first Kahoot. So it basically is a drag and drop type of situation. You kind of upload, you can adjust the time, which I recommend 20 seconds is faster than you think. For some people, it might be the perfect time, but if they're having to watch a signed video, you need to adjust that time so it's longer, because once you pop up that question, that timer starts. That I drew a little arrow so you could see where you can add that YouTube link. So you can add that signed video there, type your question at the top, and then at the bottom, add your answer choices. When you hover over an answer choice, it'll pop up a little image box. You can click that, and then you can upload an image. So if you need to add that signed picture of the answer, or if you want to just like add a picture because maybe you're working with the itty bitties and you give them the sign, but they don't know the English yet because maybe they're like pre-K or even younger, you could add the actual image of, maybe, let's say I'm doing the sign for lion, and then the answer, I'd have a picture of a lion, a picture of a zebra, a picture of a giraffe, a picture of a hippo, and then the student would pick which one I'm signing. So you can use it in that way too. Once you're done setting up your whole Kahoot, you go in and it'll kind of save and take you to the main screen. And from there, you say, I want to play my Kahoot. You'll have two options. You can teach, which means like doing it like virtually, like a live game together. So if you're having your whole class together playing the game, that's where you would use that teach. And then there's assign. So you would assign it. So if a student's working on their own pace, you just assign to that student, and then the student can go through it. Okay, so here's some Kahoot resources. There's the distance learning guide, a link to how it works, ways to play. Right now, they're offering free premium accounts during the coronavirus outbreak. So click there to get more information. It might be something that you're able to do as a teacher, or it might be something that your district has to do. So you kind of have to read. I didn't want to give an answer there because every school is different in how they function and work when it comes to technology. And then Leslie Fisher, a big name in ed technology, had a webinar this week talking about Teams, and she talks about Kahoot in that webinar. So I went ahead and linked that there. So if you guys wanted to view it, you had that option. And then of course, follow them on Twitter at Get Kahoot. And they're always like posting updates on webinars, how to use this for distant learning and remote learning, and any other PD opportunities they're going to offer. They also share how other teachers are using Kahoot. So it's a good way to kind of see how someone else is using it, so you can grab that idea to apply to your own classroom. And then additional tips, students can download Kahoot on a tablet or like an iPad. And then of course they can access it through the browser. You'll basically, so if you're doing a live event, you're basically going to give them a code. They're going to type in that code, and then from that code, they'll be able to go in, write a name, and then they're ready to play. So that's kind of how it works on the share side. I'm not sure how many people have ever used Kahoot, but it's pretty simple if you just follow the steps, and of course follow those guides that are there to kind of support you even further. All right, now for questions. I don't know if I finished earlier than I expected, so I don't know if I went too fast or I just really cut down my slides, so then that way we would have plenty of time for questions.
You did great. So the only question that I've seen so far is, do we have to create a book with Book Creator to model as you did?
You do not have to create a model book. I did for my students because they were 5, and it was just easier if I went through that whole process of steps of how to do it to support them. Depending on your students' like fluency in technology, they might not need you to do that model book, because especially when it's on the iPad, it's just a bunch of pinching and grabbing and touching and options opening up. It's really user friendly, that's for sure.
Awesome. We just got another question. So someone's asking, can we do another class, or do you offer one-on-one tutoring?
Oh, well, I see it's D. So she works at FSDB with me. So the fun thing about my job right now is, so my job is coordinating all the PD on campus. And because all my PD that's offered is through grant funding, all the grant funding money has been put on hold. So basically my job is canceled right now. So all I'm doing is offering ed tech help for our FSDB teachers. And then anything RMTC ones, they're bugging me too. So D, I can definitely give you one-on-one training, or I recommend everyone test it out first and try it, and then come bug me. Or RMTC. Bug RMTC, and then they'll come bug me. Either way.
Perfect. Dee said, wonderful, Randy. Thanks so much. So Kate asked, when will the webinars from this week be available to view again? And for the links on your resources page, how will we access those from the video? So right now, Kate, whenever you go to, and Carrie, you might have to correct me if I'm wrong, when you go to, you can actually access the link from Zoom right now, where it's on our resource, it's on our virtual resources page, and it's on the virtual education web page. So Kara just dropped that link in the chat. And once the webinar, go ahead, Kara.
The videos are on the left side. The PowerPoint is underneath. There's a placeholder for today's, and it takes about an hour or a little bit more for it all to process for us to then post it.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we'll be posting it to YouTube later and captioning it all, but that takes time. Thanks, Dee. Any other questions?
There's more questions in the question and answer box.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see.
Oh, I see that.
Okay. So Allison said, would you use Wakelet in addition to another tool like Microsoft Teams or Google Classroom, or could you use it on its own?
So you can use Wakelet on its own. So I'm in the Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert program, and one thing I have to do at the end of my my cohort term is I got to show every badge and different trainings that I've earned. So I plan to use a Wakelet to put all my badges and all my training information. So that way, when they review what I did for the year, they can just look at my Wakelet and see everything that I've done. So I'm going to use it like an organized list. You can also just use it for your own private reasons. The nice thing is you can put it in those resources that you're using, like Teams and OneNote, but you can also just use it for your own personal use. So it's really, it can be put wherever. I just wanted to emphasize that you could attach it to something else if you wanted to.
Perfect. And then Melissa asked, do you allow students to work on these at home, and did you run into any problems with that?
I'm not sure if Melissa means all the apps or just one or the other. For Wakelet, that I've used with different people and across different things. I've had no problem with users using it outside of class. To be honest, I only used Book Creator and Kahoot in class, but that was because at that time, that was our situation, like my situation, I was in class, so I used it in class. Looking at the Twitter feed, I haven't noticed anyone posting problems on Twitter about using Book Creator or those different things. So Melissa just wrote that she was talking about Wakelet and Book Creator. Wakelet is pretty much just web-based. So if you're able to access the internet and get online, you can use the Wakelet. So I don't see any problem with using it with your students. The only problem will come to if you share it and you were expecting them to contribute. So like I used it with my university students and we were practicing higher order questioning. So I gave them a topic and they had to write questions, or they came up with a topic and wrote questions. At first I shared it with them as just a share. So they could read it, but they couldn't add answers to it. So it was like a user error. If you just have to make sure you know what you want to use it for. If you want them to contribute, you need to add them as contributors. If you want to just share and view only, you share it as a share. For Book Creator, if they have the website or the app on their tablet or iPad, they can just make it and then easily share it with you. Depending on what you're using for communication right now, so for some it might be email, some it might be dropping it in a Google Classroom, like that might be where the problems are because of just not knowing how to upload to send. So that's like the only problems that I see that could arise with those two applications.
Beautiful. All right, I'm not seeing any other questions. I did want to say a few things that I saw in the chat that I think.
There was one more question.
Was there? Oh, someone just posted it. Thanks. Could
okay,
Wakelet?
Melissa,
Go ahead.
Melissa asked, could Wakelet be used like a classroom website, like uploading assignments, newsletters, links, resources, links for students? Yes, so I did mention that when I was talking about Wakelet. You can use it for the schedule of the day that students are going to go through that. You can kind of use it like a website. Our teachers here at FSDB are required to have Google Sites for their classrooms, but they could easily just embed a Wakelet or like add the link to the Wakelet in their Google site, and then a student can click and go to it. So there's different ways that you can use it. It just depends what information do you want to put together to create your collection. So it could just be their assignments for the whole day. It could be one specific assignment per collection if you have specific resources. So it all just depends on like what you're going to make, but the possibilities are basically endless with Wakelet.
All right. So I'm going to start wrapping it up here. So thank you so much, Randi, for presenting today. That was some really good information. And finally, thank you all so much for allowing us to be part of your day today. We love hearing from you, and we are happy to be help in any way that we can. You can connect with us through our social media like Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. And you can also sign up for our newsletter. We would love your comments on our social media about what you learned today. Make sure you use hashtag RMTC-DHH and hashtag FLDEAFED. And as you may know, we are a Florida Department of Education Bureau of Exceptional Education and Student Services discretionary project, and all of the services we provide are free. So to continue our work, we must collect survey data to justify why our services are needed. So each of you could please complete the survey right now. We would greatly appreciate it. Choose the training tile Microsoft Edu Fun Tech Tools Special Webinar. Thank you again from all of us at RMTC, and Randy, thank you again so much for presenting today.